Hello, hello. Welcome back to another show here at the Life School Masterclass show. Hello, everybody. I'm Elona, your host, and I help companies align their purpose and their profits. I'm back with you, another amazing guest and beautiful connection here at the Life School, Ria Burrage-Male. And we're going to talk about instilling healthy habits for lasting success. I know that we're all very ambitious entrepreneurs and CEOs here, always united for a common cause to always learn, grow, and align our personal and professional success so that we can leave a legacy and do more good in the world. That's really the bigger mission we all are after. So, Ria, thank you so much for finding time. And I'm going to thank you ahead for all the amazing work and service that you are also providing for other people with helping them with this very important and specific area. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to join everyone today and be with you on a lovely 5 p.m. on a Friday in the UK. So it's great to be here.
I love it. And we talked about the weather a little bit. It's scorching hot in New York, but you have very pleasant weather there. So I am jealous. So I will virtually pick up some of the cool vibes
It's bearable, sure.
from the weather there. So perfect. Let's dive right into the topic. So instilling healthy habits for lasting success. Let's start with some of the things that you have seen that hold people back from really starting to develop and craft in some of those habits that they either might be aware that they need to implement or kind of look into, or maybe they're not even aware, right? Because a lot of the times we don't even know how to get a certain thing and what's holding us back. So what are some of the maybe three main things that you've seen that holds people back, maybe also referring from your personal experience?
It's a really, really interesting question. I think one of the most common things that shine through when I go into businesses and I work with people is their phone. That on social media, when they're in their bed, they're not able to go to sleep into a really positive deep sleep because they're scrolling social media or looking at emails really, really late at night. So one of the habits that I'm trying to instill in people is to live more consciously around things like the quality of sleep is probably one of the most underrated things. The productivity in the afternoon when people don't have a good lunch, and then just simply disconnecting and giving themselves permission to exercise or walk or disconnect or take a break in the working day. So those are the sort of three things for me that are real simple habit changes that I'm trying to work with businesses, with entrepreneurs, with organizations, with senior leaders to say you have to pause. So those are probably the three kind of most poignant, habits that I think people should focus on and should look to change.
Oh, I mean, are you like in my house? I think that's definitely the challenge of the environments that we're living in today and all the distraction that's really available. And yeah, like building that willpower to be conscious, to be aware, to be mindful. I think this is coming back for a lot of us. I think I've heard about mindfulness, I mean, in my journey for so long, but I really feel like now, I don't know if what is happening, but we kind of need better habits to be able to really stay mindful. It's such a bigger challenge from obviously prior, where we were not surrounded with all this technology that is available, and most of us work from that, right? So it's so hard to put those boundaries together to be able to stay within the word that we set for ourselves, so the boundaries that we set for our personal lives or health or all those healthy habits, which obviously overall contribute to our happiness and fulfillment at the end of the day. What are some practices that you maybe also advise your clients to be able to implement when it comes to mindfulness? Is there like certain conscious things that we can maybe keep top of mind so that we can stay more mindful around these things that might be holding us back?
Yeah, I think probably the first thing for me is around productivity. So how do we use our calendars? So easy now with kind of online communication and connecting with people through media platforms or communication platforms and people just have access to your calendars. They'll just put a meeting into your calendar, in the workplace. So one of the things, one real simple technique is for people to actually put time in their diary to say, I am going for a walk, even if it's in the office or just outside, 11 till 11:20, and it's in their diary. So people can't put back-to-back meetings in, and people can't say, can you catch up? And with that, then, is people giving themselves permission to say no. No, I can't meet you. And as you can see in my diary, I've got something scheduled for my well-being and for my mindfulness. So that's a real simple technique around, Pomodoro technique, where people work for 25 minutes and break for 5 minutes, but actually putting it into your calendar and being true to yourself and sticking by it is probably one of the techniques I think is a real simple strategy change for people day to day. And it being top down, so senior leaders, if they can kind of role model some of these behaviors, I think that's a huge help. When it comes to sleep, it is making it a constant and not just an event. This is something that we do. I go to bed at this time of night every single night, and I try to repeat that, even if I've got an earlier start the next day. By going to bed at the same time, research has suggested you will sleep better. Your body clock is, your circadian rhythm is there's a pattern. So almost sort of, I don't know, an hour and 15 minutes before you sleep, you set an alarm to say, right, you've got 15 minutes left to look on social media, to scroll Instagram, to check your emails, and then set another alarm to go, phone's down. I'm not looking at it. I'm putting it away, or I'm putting it upstairs on charge, or whatever you want to do. But put little kind of, alarms in your phone, and make them jovial. Put your phone is down. That's it. And you can kind of save the alarm as a name or a title. So, having a bit of fun with it, just to make it a bit more lighthearted, is another great technique just for people to say, that's it. I know now at 9 o'clock. Otherwise, people are on their phone. They don't know what time it is. It's an hour, 2 hours have gone by, and they're still, mindlessly scrolling social media and looking at things where they just need to decompress and switch off. And you won't settle into the appropriate sleep rhythm, if you're on your phone, at the very last minute before sleep.
Oh, I love all the advice that you shared, because these are such practical things that we are all dealing with. And I love that you mentioned other people putting, their calendars, their agenda on your calendar. Pretty much be very mindful of that as well, because again, if it doesn't align with your goals and what you're focusing on, it's very easy to just have the FOMO part, right? Well, if you're missing out, like, what could this be? And it's okay. Maybe that will lead you into something, but I think back to what you're saying, it will definitely distract you from your focus. Because something else that I've also tried to be very mindful with, or with my own day-to-day, work that I do, or even personal life, is to keep track. I love the Pomodoro piece that you mentioned, but to keep track of certain tasks and activities, because just like you mentioned with the phone, you could think that, I don't know, I'm on social media posting my content, but that could be taking you like 2 hours. And if that's a task that's consuming so much of your time, how is it that you can be aware around how much time you're spending, and then, consciously decide, okay, is this a task that obviously I want to continue to do on my own? Or is it something I can delegate or get another tool to do, and all of that? I have realized that most of my overwhelm has come from me just being in my head about how long a lot of the tasks that we have to do in terms of productivity take. And to my pleasant surprise, tons of tasks that I thought took me a long time actually take me 10 minutes, but the brain noise and the space that, it's weighing down on my head, it's probably I'm spending way more brain energy into it, because we have those open loops. There's always something that we feel like we haven't finished, especially as entrepreneurs, which keeps us from sleeping and all of that, those other side effects. But I think, being very aware and being, focused and scheduling things in your agenda, honestly, is the only way to be intentional and do all the things that we do as entrepreneurs. Otherwise, we would just, it would just be overwhelming. We'd struggle with anxiety. I've had all of those: burnout, anxiety, just feeling very unfulfilled from the work that we're doing. So definitely
anxiety is interesting, because sometimes anxiety is because we're always thinking what's next as opposed to being present. So there's a couple of points that I can draw upon here. So, when we go back to sleep, people want to think that's when you've got a lot of kind of opportunity and thought in your head. So just encourage people to go old school and get that pen and paper and have a notepad next to your bed. And when you want to kind of thought dump, just put it into pen and paper, not your phone. So other habits around taking you away from the kind of the light and the distractions of your phone is another technique. And the anxiety piece is around being present and the ability to pause and using things like meditation and breath work to be present a little bit more is another good technique that people could kind of implement or start to learn or study and find what's right for them. We're all different and we all respond to things differently. We all react to things differently. Your point around energy there, around something that might be a task that requires a lot of your energy. I'm not overly analytical. I'm quite conceptual. So something that requires, analytical, like budgets or finance, my goodness, it takes energy and takes time. I'll take longer than somebody who's naturally analytical. So I know that before and after a task like that, I have to give myself some rest. So if we talk about this in kind of the concept of sport and the athlete mindset or how the athlete operates, let's call it a heavy weight session, a heavy leg session, or a sprint session. You need to be able to recover after that. So if you've done something that requires a lot of energy, like a sprint session or a heavy leg session, you're going to rest after. So if it takes a lot of my energy to do something that I don't naturally like or do easily, I have to give myself that rest. So again, in a calendar, if you're scheduling, you've got a finance meeting, you've got budget prep, and it takes energy, give yourself an hour after that to do something that I call like light grays and dark grays. So dark grey is a heavy amount of work that requires energy, and your light grey is your rest. And again, pop that in your calendar. I'm doing budgets for an hour. It's going to absolutely drain me. I need 30 minutes to go for a walk and decompress after it.
Ooh, that's beautifully said for sure, especially with the fact that we're always thinking of the next thing. I think a lot of us struggle with that. And because it's just, I don't know, it's just so easy to do that. But I love that you said just jot it down, right? I was, retrain yourself to kind of ground yourself back in the present moment because everything can wait. I don't know why we have this sense of urgency in us as entrepreneurs. Like everything is like important. Everything is important, right? I feel like you're always working on the high adrenaline. So like regulating your emotions and grounding yourself is very important as well. And I love that you mentioned the piece with kind of harmonizing both your knowing thyself. I mean, it goes back to like the same thing we always talk about, like knowing honoring the tasks that will drain a lot of your energy that maybe you can't even delegate yet, right? Because that would be the ideal as you grow and grow a profitable company, then you could start to delegate, get the right people to complement a lot of those things that, oh my gosh, might take you a long time. Obviously, if it's needs to be in your awareness, then that's a different thing. But yeah, just understanding where how you operate and giving yourself time to do that is very I like that. That was a really good reminder because a lot of the times it's not new information that we need. It's just reminders, that kind of resonate with us wherever we are. So that hopefully we're connecting like the next dot that's kind of, the missing link that's causing us some pain. And I think, a lot of the times it's just like putting the stuff top of mind because, life just moves like so fast for all of us. Ria, what are your thoughts on multitasking? I'm curious.
I think we have to do it. I think we're a generation of, we're on different social media platforms. We've got split screens. We're looking at our phone. We're looking at a TV. I think we've become very good at it. Whether the quality is where it could be or should be with certain things, I think. I think that causes problems as well. I think the fact that we're so consumed with doing a multitude of tasks is possibly why some people are ill or burn out or get chronic fatigue or underperform in the workplace or maybe dislike their jobs. And then I think about from an entrepreneur perspective, if you're a startup, you have to multitask. You're in everything. You're in every facet of the business. And I think people just need to be kind to themselves in that situation. You can't do everything at a level, and you certainly can't drop the most fragile ball, which might be your health and your family. So if you're multitasking, there needs to be an element of awareness in terms of what is a priority and what can't be dropped. And I'd always say things like your health, your family is almost a real fragile glass ball that you've got to try and keep up. And there's some really nice tasks around, almost kind of in your head knowing the quality and the strength of the ball to know which one can be dropped.
Yeah, absolutely. Staying aware. And I think, there's so much research now on when we're multitasking, we're actually, interrupting our focus, interrupting our flow. It takes us more time to redirect ourselves, to the task that we're doing and all of that. But I think in reality, we all do it. I mean, if I feel like I'm like, it's like an activity that is like muscle memory, I'll do that and I'll do something else. But I think generally consciousness around this is very important as well, because if you're trying to do, like, again, a heavy project, like you called it, a dark whatever.
Exactly.
What did you call it?
So I talk about in kind of shades of grey. So like a dark shade of grey is a heavy session, and a light shade of grey is your rest, recovery, your decompression, or an easier task to perform, the task that comes easy to you.
Exactly. So obviously, if it comes easy, I still like, okay, podcast, doing this, doing that, right? But if it's like a task that's going to take you more energy, then yeah, I think it definitely needs its main focus. But I've been trying to wean myself off of multitasking, knowing the research, because I do see how I make mistakes when I'm trying to do two things, and I'm going back and, like, erasing some of my mistakes. But I'm like, why did I do that in the first place? I could have just focused on this. And I wouldn't have made the mistake, and now it's taking me like a few steps longer because I'm very process oriented. So it's kind of how my brain works. Like, okay, a couple of steps. If I remove 2 steps, then this will be fast. But yeah, I think it's just really awareness around it. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts around that. And I know you also have a very interesting journey, because we connected prior. So can you share some of the most meaningful moments that led you to this work that you do? What is behind, what's the meaning behind the work that you do and the purpose? Like, why are you doing this work?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, I'm very conscious of time. I could talk quite a bit of length on this. I mean, fundamentally for me, I was a former international athlete. So conscious that I probably need to specify there was field hockey. So when I mention hockey, it's field as opposed to ice. But yeah, so played for Wales, played in the 2014 Commonwealth Games, and sport has always been integral. Everything I've done, I've played football in Champions League. I've done kickboxing, played golf, I run. Sport is probably, and when I talk about this stuff, I mentioned obviously already about athlete mindset, and we can all have an athlete mindset. It doesn't necessarily mean we're going to be an athlete, but it's just being resilient and making the right choices and looking after ourselves so we can perform at optimum levels. So sport is obviously integral to where I am today. I was a former chief executive, which I found very consuming. And it stole a lot of my time, I suppose. And I was a young mum, so my little boy is 4 now, and my little girl is 2. So I was a chief exec, and I had my little boy whilst I was a chief executive. And I thought I could still operate in the same way. You want to operate in the same way because that male-female, you're a female CEO, and now you're not able to maybe do what you used to do. And there's some real insecurities, I suppose, around that, as most women will probably be able to reflect on. So what I did, I left my role as chief executive and wanted to spend quality time with my family, my young family, and we went traveling. We bought a motorhome, we drove to Croatia, and we traveled Europe. And it was during that time that I reflected a lot on my journey as an athlete. I reflected on when I wasn't the best version of myself and what were the reasons why I wasn't the best version of myself. And it was when I wasn't looking after myself. So when I wasn't focused on 4 areas that I talk a lot about is called eat, sleep, breathe, connect. And a lot of the work I do is underpinned by that, and I deliver sessions on it. And I just thought, I didn't look after myself during that time. And when I was an athlete, those 4 things were just integral to what I was doing. So whilst on the road, not really sure what I was going to do when I got back from traveling, we set up Kibo, which is the name of my business, which is my children's names. So Ki and Bo are shortened versions of my children's names. Looked it up just for due diligence. They meant hope in Japanese. So I talk a lot now about what is your hope, What do you want? Like, how do you feel? What do you want today? How does it feel like? Give yourself the opportunity and to look at it and go, yeah, what do I want today, and how do I want to live? And then consider these 4 components to make sure you're, both professionally and personally, you're the best version of yourself. So I suppose to answer your question, it was being an athlete, it was becoming a chief executive, was consumed and close to kind of exhaustion. And then that time on the road where I was just so present and, looked at the world through the eyes of my children, which was so simple. And those 3 significant moments, I suppose, or significant periods, and obviously sport was a prolonged period, is how I've arrived at today.
Wow, what a journey, right? A life journey. I mean, I hear it over and over, and I think even in my own personal life, like everything, every challenge, every experience that we have, experienced, whether it's personal, professional, all is there to like is building blocks towards like the next thing. It's like so amazing to hear, and you shared like similar things with your journey leading you here, right? It's not like you just woke up one morning like, okay, here's the thing that I want to help others with. It's because you've kind of learned along your personal journey a lot of those things that you feel now is the way for you to give back and be able to support someone else with it. And yeah, I think it's all experience. No experience is ever wasted. So thank you so much for sharing that. And my last final question as we wrap up this interview and this conversation today, Ria, is around the your experience as an athlete. What did you learn when it comes to discipline? Because
Mm,
I think discipline is such an important topic or necessary success ingredient for everything we do in all walks and fields of life.
mm,
What did you learn, in regards to discipline? What are some key takeaways that you can share around, how to be disciplined towards the thing that we want to accomplish or build?
yeah. Um, I think probably not so much at the time, but on reflection now, when you play international sport, you're representing your country, you're representing a community, you're there to serve. So you can't have it. You shouldn't have an ego. You're there to do well by your country and by your teammates. And I think discipline plays a key factor in that, because you have to manage your emotions. You have to manage yourself. You have to recognize that you're not bigger than the sport. Um, and inevitably there's highs and lows, and you're going to win and you're going to lose, and you have to win respectfully, and you have to lose with dignity, and every experience you go through teaches you to be disciplined, to stay focused and remain on that path. And I think the I think you're, as an athlete, you're definitely a certain character. You have a goal, you have a focus, and very little stands in your way. If you want that, there are injuries and there's things you overcome. But if you want it that much, my return to hockey after 7 years to play in the Commonwealth Games, I just said I have to do it. I'm coming to the end of my career. I've got 7, 8 months. If you don't do this, you will fail yourself and you'll regret it. And you don't want to have any regrets. So stay focused, be disciplined, be the best version of yourself, because the outcome and the feeling and the success at the end of it outweighs all of those choices that you made. I don't think they're sacrifices. Missing a birthday or a wedding or a night out with friends, they're not. It's a choice that I made. It wasn't a sacrifice I made. It wasn't difficult, because I've traveled the world, I've made friends, I've got my business today. I am who I am because of that. And I think in the moment, actually, you are acutely aware of it. The other thing for me, which is really poignant, and I think it resonates in business, we will make mistakes, we will lose games. And one thing I really hone in when I speak to people, it doesn't matter what's just happened, it's what you do next that matters. And you really need to be mindful of that, because you can always move on from something. There will always be something that you could have done or could have changed. And you will always be able to hold yourself and, get frustrated with yourself or, over reflect on it. You've just got to move on sometimes, and it's what you do next that matters.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing that beautiful message based on your authentic life experience for being an athlete. But I think like common things that I I think you also repeated that I also see, and I see it in others, is always like having like a bigger purpose behind why you do what you do, and it's always connected to the service piece. Like there's other people counting on you, and it was bigger than you, and moving the ego out of the way, and building humbleness, and always working to improve yourself and staying consistent with that, because you got a bigger thing that you're after, right? So it's not, if I think if that bigger thing is missing, then you really lose your sense of purpose in the day to day, days where obviously you don't feel like going to train, or feel like
Yeah.
showing up for the business, or doing some of the things that we don't enjoy every activity obviously that we do, but we learn something from everything. But that really is the thing that carries you in the days where you just find like you just want to throw your towel or quit, or all of those things which happen as a natural human experience. But I think, yeah, if you have that bigger purpose connected to why you're doing what you're doing, and that's really clear, the why,
Yeah.
then yeah, the journey just is just a matter of taking the steps and the experience towards your own transformation. Because just like you said, you wouldn't be the person you are
Yeah.
today without that journey, the people you met, the learnings, the setbacks, all the things that have happened.
And
Um,
I obviously I was in a team sport, so that sense of community and being accountable to other people is another thing that kind of keeps you going and keeps you disciplined, because you're doing it for your teammate or the person next to you as well, and they keep you lifted and keep you up, which is so important in business when you build those networks.
Absolutely. It's that sense of belonging, right? I think it's like we all long that as humans,
Yeah,
and we sometimes look for it in other ways, but which is why community is so important, and human connection, getting the right people around you. Because, um, I mean, it's great for us to be on our own unique individual journey and spending time with ourselves, but at a certain point, we need to plug back in to the people around us. So community is crucial. Ria, we
100%.
just lovely conversation. I want to thank you for everything that you have shared with us today. I would like to, at least, we just started the conversation. So, can we maybe share with the audience where is it that they can further continue this conversation with you, or maybe a helpful resource that you might have for them to check out? Where is it that they can continue to find you?
Yeah, I mean, I think my email address is part of is public now with you. But and social media, LinkedIn, Instagram. And if anyone would like to book a discovery call just to hear a little bit more about how I can come in and deliver Eat, Sleep, Breathe, Connect, any one-to-one coaching. But yeah, I'm just here. I have a purpose, and that's to help people, live better lives. So would love to connect with you all.
All right. I would definitely encourage everyone to connect with Ria. She's also part of the Life School community. She's also on LinkedIn, and that's the website as well. And just, yeah, build those meaningful connections, because one of our values here is to absolutely connect with one another. Because obviously, if we're going to help and serve one another, we have to be in vicinity, in proximity, whether that's virtual or live. It's really about building meaningful relationships. Ria, thank you so much for the amazing
My
work that you're
pleasure.
doing out there, and the service that you are providing to others with the area of work that you are focusing on. And I want to thank you for watching and supporting the show by not forgetting to subscribe and share this with other entrepreneurs and CEOs. And I will see you next time with another amazing guest and conversation. Bye, everybody. Are you looking for paid TEDx, podcast, and free visibility speaking opportunities with other like minded audiences to put on your calendar? Speaking is one of those daily operational activities in our service based businesses, so that we can expose the visibility that we have, but also share our message and share our work with new audiences every day. Inside our C suite community expert program here at the Life School, we have made this very, very simple for you. It's a plug and play system. You just fill out forms and also place speaking opportunities onto your calendar without any overwhelm. We will strategically introduce you to high level quality connections that will move your mission and vision further faster. And also, you'll get to participate in our own speaking events, magazine, and podcast opportunities that we have here at the Life School, with an audience and community of over 30,000 seasoned CEOs. For more information, I would love to invite you to go check out our website at elonaloparicoaching.com/C-suite program.